The question in Florida tonight is what to do with Tilikum, the whale that keeps killing. And the people at SeaWorld in Orlando say they have made up their minds. Despite the death of a veteran trainer yesterday, the whale will remain part of its program. There are, however, growing calls to destroy the animal or set it free. Tilikum was shipped to the United States after killing a young trainer at Sealand of the Pacific in Oak Bay in 1991. And yesterday afternoon, with a horrified audience watching, the whale grabbed a veteran trainer by the ponytail and thrashed her around the pool before dragging her under. She is the third person Tilikum the whale has killed. SeaWorld says it is changing its procedures for working with Tilikum, but the park plans to keep him.
A witness at SeaWorld Orlando took this home video just seconds before a deadly attack by a killer whale. It shows trainer Don Brancho lying next to Tilikum, playing with him and rubbing his head. Spectators say moments later, the whale turned on her, dragging her in by her ponytail and tossing her around until she died.
He bobbed up in the air, bobbed up, came down with a person in his mouth, was shaking her violently. A shoe flew off, and sirens immediately started going off. People were running everywhere.
This Orlando Sentinel photo shows the attack's aftermath. On one side, Tilikum. Under the covering, Don Brancho. SeaWorld has confirmed the 5,400-kilogram killer whale pulled the expert trainer into the water by her hair. Her sister says she loved the mammals like her own children.
She knew she wanted to work with the animals, and SeaWorld was her dream.
SeaWorld closed its Shamu shows on both U.S. coasts today as orca experts discuss what went wrong. 40-year-old Brancho was one of SeaWorld's most experienced trainers who knew about Tilikum's aggressive history. He and two other whales killed a trainer at the former Sealand of the Pacific water park in Oak Bay in 1991. Oak Bay Police Chief Ron Gaudette, who was with the department then, remembers the day well.
I recall that there was 3 whales as part of the show, and they were able to, the trainers on hand were able to get 2 of those whales into another pen, but they couldn't get the big whale to go into the other pen, and so eventually they did get the whale to move into another pen, and they sent divers down, but by this time we're probably talking half hour to 45 minutes before that happened. And
Gaudette says the tragedy was tough for officers to deal with because there was very little they could do.
We felt helpless is the one thing. We felt helpless in that we couldn't do anything to even try to save her life without endangering our own lives or anybody else's. So it was frustrating in that respect.
8 years after the trainer's death in Oak Bay, a homeless man who broke into SeaWorld Orlando after hours was found the next morning in Tilikum's pool. The death was ruled a drowning and not officially linked to the whale. Because of Tilikum's violent history, the trainers at SeaWorld say he was treated differently. They did not go into the water with him. They are now reevaluating all of their safety procedures, but they do say Tilikum will remain part of the exhibit at SeaWorld. Steve Huckster was one of Tilikum's trainers at Sealand of the Pacific.
The SeaWorld organization, they are the best in the world at handling marine mammals, and especially orcas. So they very much have a very good understanding of Tilikum's behavior.
This is one of those times that it's baffling to us, and again, we're going to evaluate this and make sure that we try to understand it.
The incident again raises the question of whether the ocean's most dangerous mammals should be kept as performers.
In some cases, there is educational value, and in some cases, facilities make a lot of money off these animals.
For now, SeaWorld plans to keep Tilikum, but says the procedures for working with him will change.
Eric Thompson joins us now with more on the story. Eric, in the wake of this latest deadly attack, there are more calls to release or to destroy Tilikum. Tonight there's a poll that suggests many people agree. What do you know about that?
Well, Hudson, the Washington Post is asking online readers what they think should happen with Tilikum. So far, the overwhelming majority of respondents, more than 60%, say he should be released into the wild. A small number of people say whales should be given larger tanks, while others are suggesting isolation or even euthanization.
It is a debate that has been renewed indeed. Eric, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tilikum, the killer whale involved in the deaths of trainers in Oak Bay and in Florida, and another man, will remain part of the show at SeaWorld Orlando, but there are going to be changes. The trainers will not get into the water with the killer whales for now until officials finish reviewing what happened. Tilikum dragged a veteran trainer into the water Wednesday, renewing the debate over whether these marine mammals should be kept to perform in captivity. A News reporter Eric Thompson has been following the story for us this week. He joins us now with the latest. Eric.
Hudson SeaWorld's president Jim Atchison says Tilikum will remain an active contributing member of the team at its park in Orlando, and he says whale shows will resume tomorrow, just 3 days after the death of one of its trainers.
Attendance has been fine.
During a 30-minute news conference carried live on television networks across North America, the president of SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment was peppered with questions about a killer whale with a violent history.
How do you explain the combination of circumstances that all lead back to the same whale and the judgment call to put people back in the water with this whale?
What I'll say is the events surrounding the other incidents that Tilikum was part of are quite varied.
A staff member eventually intervened, cutting reporters off and bringing the question and answer session to an abrupt end.
In 1 second, please.
SeaWorld says its Shamu Believe show with killer whales will resume tomorrow after a whale killed its trainer at the Orlando park. But trainers won't get in the water with the whales for now, until officials finish reviewing what happened to trainer Dawn Brancho. She was dragged into the water Wednesday by Tilikum, a 5,400-kilogram killer whale. A witness at SeaWorld Orlando took this home video just seconds before the deadly attack. It shows Brancho lying next to Tilikum. The park had previously told reporters trainers were not supposed to be in the water with the whales, something SeaWorld's president wasn't prepared to discuss.
What we are doing in the context of this investigation is looking at every piece of information we have.
Reporters in Orlando asked the president of SeaWorld about the decision to bring Tilikum to Florida and allow trainers into the water with him, knowing he had been involved in the deaths of 2 other people, including a trainer here in Oak Bay in 1991.
I will tell you those incidents and the nature of them had really nothing to do with this particular event.
Whale expert Dr. Paul Spong questions whether killer whales should be kept in captivity.
If we want to learn about them, we need to go out into the wild and learn about them there. And if we want to observe them and get to appreciate them, then we should go whale watching.
Spong says if SeaWorld would like to be kind to Tilikum, the company should set up a way for him to retire to a pen in the ocean, possibly in Iceland, where he was captured in 1983. SeaWorld says Tilikum will remain an active contributing member of the team. The company says it isn't sure how long it will be before trainers are allowed to get back in the water with the whales. Hudson SeaWorld says it has a separate set of protocols for dealing with Tilikum due to his size. He is much larger than any of the other killer whales in its marine parks. SeaWorld has locations in Orlando, San Diego, and San Antonio. The first show in Orlando, where the trainer was killed, is set to begin tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern.